Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host for the day, Riley Magnuson. Jeff Dawson feeling a little under the weather after some of his shows today. Leaving the keys over to me here for the afternoon for tonight's slate on Wednesday, March 15th. Gonna keep it short and sweet as I usually do when I'm by myself. Don't have any opinions to bounce back and forth with the man Jeffrey Dawson. So tonight's slate, I know we've got obviously the two games in the first four tonight. The 16 seed teams, and then Nevada, Arizona State. Handful of NIT games. Nice slate last night out of the NIT, along with some NBA games with some thoughts as well. But we'll probably breeze right through that as everyone's obviously locked in with everything March Madness and NCAA basketball. So that's what we'll stick to. Obviously, I've probably, again, it's not official, but as I did yesterday, can kind of start it off with what's going on with the NFL. And beyond my area of expertise, there's obviously a handful of things going on in the rest of the NFL, but Aaron Rodgers makes or comes out publicly and clears the air a little bit with his intentions of playing for the New York Jets, as we kind of have expected over the last couple of weeks now. Alan Lazard joining him kind of clears the air on him not being the reports of him demanding or giving them a list of guys that he wants. Kind of calling that a little bit BS, which I can understand. But on the same vein, obviously you get Alan Lazard over there. Wouldn't surprise me if you get one or both of Randall Cobb and Mercedes Lewis. And then I think Odell would be a little more surprising. He's probably going to hit the open market and have a lot of teams calling for him. And obviously his health is permitting there. So the Jets, obviously it's not official yet. So now the Packers are going to kind of dig their heels in, as they were talking in the conversation today. Probably lost a little bit of leverage, but as time goes on and the Jets fan base gets a little more restless, that leverage is going to come back a little bit. So I imagine the Packers going to stand pat a little bit. It would not surprise me. I kind of expect them to pick up one of the two receivers that the Jets might have available, Elijah Moore or Corey Davis, to add to the Packers receiving core there. With QB1 Jordan Love, man in the helm this year. So it is going to be interesting to see what the Packers can do the rest of the way here in the offseason, if anything. Defense could be really solid again. Obviously wasn't as good as a lot of people expected this past year, but lose Rashawn Gary after the first few weeks, hopefully get him back, and the Packers defense will be a lot better, a little more consistent there. So interested to see what we got on the horizon for Packer football, but I told you I'm going to keep things short and sweet. I know there was some other NFL news, trying to keep up on it all today. I don't think there was anything super major. Obviously, the other one, actually, a couple things. Ezekiel Elliott apparently parting ways with the Dallas Cowboys as a dynasty owner of Tony Pollard in fantasy football. I am jumping for joy with that one. Interested to see what his market is going to be like. Obviously, a guy that when you look up his age, you're probably surprised. I don't know off the top of my head if he's 27, 28, whatever the heck he is. A lot more football miles, quote-unquote football miles, and than what his age would tell you. And obviously the adage of the shelf life of running backs. He's 27 years old. So I'm interested to see what the market is going to be for him. Might be short-term deals, 1 or 2 years, wherever he's going. David Montgomery from the Bears, obviously, he goes over to the Lions. Maybe the Bears are interested in Ezekiel Elliott. Who the heck knows? Probably not going to be as opposed to David Montgomery, but just spitballing a little bit there. But at the end of the day, I think it was time to move on from Zeke. He gave him some nice years, obviously, there. But Tony Pollard, I think anyone with unbiased set of eyes could see how dynamic Tony Pollard is. And I guess I'm a little biased with my dynasty fantasy ownership of Tony Pollard, but the guy is just absolutely explosive, and you have to get him the ball more than he was, as opposed to splitting carries with Zeke there. So the other news, I know Jordan Poyer re-ups with the Bills, and Juju, wish we had Jeff's take on it. Juju Smith-Schuster over to the Patriots on I'm drawing a blank on the deal there, but either way, Darius Slay on the wayside out of Philly, and Baker Mayfield over to the Bucs. So that is what you got. The quick hitters there out of the NFL, and Hayden Hurst over to the Panthers, 3 years, $21 million. So you got a nice chunk of change there from the Panthers. and the Panthers with presumably probably Bryce Young or one of these other quarterbacks also picking up Andy Dalton. So interested to see what's going to go on in Carolina next year. So to get right into college basketball tonight, I mentioned we can let's breeze through some of these NIT games. Yesterday, Jeff and I talked about a few of them. He was right to steer me away from the Wisconsin and Bradley game. Wisconsin ends up putting up a 20-point win. I think Crawley, 36 points for the Badgers there. 5 for 7 threes, 12 of 16 from the field, so absolutely dominant there. We were both the Rutgers being pissed off coming into it. I didn't watch any of these NIT games, admittedly, but obviously Hofstra takes down Rutgers. Along with Michigan taking care of business against Toledo, Vanderbilt taking care against Yale, and Villanova falling to Liberty just barely outside of the covering spot there. So few good games tonight. Oklahoma State against Youngstown State. It is at Youngstown State. So Youngstown State, the home team, against Oklahoma State there, 5.5-point spread. I respect this Oklahoma State team just because of the gauntlet that they had to go through in the Big 12. But it's tough to predict. We talked about it yesterday. Who wants it more? Who's the motivated side in this one? It seems like all these mid-major schools have been pretty motivated. Aside from whether it's motivation or not, aside from a couple yesterday, there were some really, really good games. Obviously, I mentioned Hofstra taking care of business. Even, the Vandy-Yale game, Vandy wins by 9, but Yale puts up a decent fight. Liberty takes down Villanova. Eastern Washington takes down as 8.5-point favorites Washington State. So these games are tough to predict. I'm not going to bet against Oklahoma State because of how much I respect them. Their defense is really, really stingy. Could be the difference in this one there. So the pace that they play is pretty damn high there, though. So that's why you're seeing the 151.5 total there. So some of these other games, UCF and Florida, I've talked about the last 2 years. Florida's been, of all the college teams in college basketball, one of the teams that's the biggest thorn in my side that I just can't figure out. And they've been, massively disappointing the past couple of years is one of the reasons why. But whenever I think it's a good spot to go to Florida, I've been wrong. And whenever I think it's a good time to fade Florida, they show up and look like the team that they've been supposed to look like. So I think what I would say about this one is UCF is probably a little bit better than most people realize. Kind of an under the radar team out of the AAC this year. So I'll lean towards UCF, but as I said, I can't predict a Florida game to save my life here. So a couple of big spread games that I won't touch. Morehead State and Clemson. Clemson, big favorite. That I would be surprised to see them covering that, but that is obviously a big spread there, maybe a big statement. So I'm going to stay far away from it. Same thing with North Texas and Alcorn State, a 17-point spread. The game that I was surprised to see the spread as big as it was, Virginia Tech and Cincinnati, 5.5-point spread. This Virginia Tech team, it's very matchup dependent. When you get them away from home, I think that's why you're seeing them 5.5-point spread. If they were hosting this game and we're a short underdog or even a tiny short favorite, I might be interested in Virginia Tech. But they've been ugly on the road this year. 2-9 straight up on the road. At least that's what I'm seeing here. Obviously, that doesn't add up. 3-9 against the spread, but maybe that's neutral court. I don't know. But anyways, they have not been good away from home is the point that I'm trying to make here. 17-5, I think, at home, something to that effect, straight up. So all of their money's worth this year was made at home. Their defense just hasn't been as good away from home. Their offense certainly has not been good away from home. So I'm going to stay away from it. I'll lean towards Virginia Tech getting the cover because I do kind of respect them. I could see them showing up motivated, but at the end of the day, staying away from on the road there. So. And some of these other games, I have not seen enough of these teams, honestly. Santa Clara as a favorite against Sam Houston State. Santa Clara has been a pretty damn good team this year. Kind of came on strong right at the end after a little bit of a lull in the middle there and lost to San Francisco in their tournament. So I do like Santa Clara could be an underdog in the entire NIT to make a nice little run there. So. Skipping over to the first four games tonight, or the two games left in the first four round, or whatever you want to call it. Fairleigh Dickinson, Texas Southern, two 16 seeds here in about an hour and a half getting tip-off there. 2.5, Texas Southern minus 2.5 at the 147.5 is what I'm seeing. And these games, obviously, many people probably did not see too much of these two teams here. And at the end of the day, obviously, they outlasted everyone in their conference. Texas Southern, a 14-20 team. Fairleigh Dickinson, 19-15. Yet Fairleigh Dickinson is the underdog in this one. I think you could see what similar to what you saw last night, where the spread is really close to being damn spot on. It was 3.5, I think it was. I don't know what it closed at, but it was 3.5 while we were talking yesterday on the show, and it was a missed 3 and fouls to push it up, to 4 or 5 point victory for Texas A&M CC there. So I could see something similar where this one comes down. A lot of these 16-16 games have been so damn close. So I could see this one being much of the same here. Fairleigh Dickinson 3.12 per KenPom, while you got Texas Southern at 2.85. So despite the records, that's why you're seeing Texas Southern as the favorite there. So I think this one's going to end up really close. Fairleigh Dickinson's been in some of these. I don't know if they've been in this first 4 games, but they've been in the tournament a lot. So they do have program-wise some pedigree there. So I'll say Fairleigh Dickinson, but I think it's going to come down to the very end. I think one of these teams is going to either have a chance at winning or win this game at the buzzer, kind of like we saw with the last 2 games last night. So I'll lean towards FDU, Fairleigh Dickinson, but your guess is as good as mine with this one, as I always say in some of these nasty 16-seed games. Nevada and Arizona State, obviously the bigger ticket item tonight, 8:10 my time, 9:10 Eastern time. I'm seeing a lot of public buy-in to Arizona State here. On one hand, you have the Pac-12 always kind of being underrated in the March Madness tournament, but at the end of the day, I think Nevada is 44th per KenPom, and just double check, 44th per KenPom. Arizona State all the way down at 70. And yet you're getting Arizona State minus 2.5 and getting a lot of public buy-in to it. I am interested in Nevada tonight. I think a lot of people just, sees Pac-12 up against a Mountain West opponent here and is rolling with the Pac-12 team. But Arizona State took care of business against a lot of the teams not named. Obviously, they had the 1 win against Arizona, but took care of business against the teams not named: Arizona, UCLA, and USC there in the regular season for the most part. So they kind of took care of business where they needed to. I'm interested to see what happens away from home here tonight on a neutral court. They were okay away from home, but pretty damn solid at home. Nevada, not too bad away from home. So they did stumble a little bit down the stretch. It was kind of surprising to see them slide into the tournament. Obviously, I'm a Big Ten homer, so I would have put Rutgers in over both these teams. But Nevada did falter a little bit at the end of the season, losing 3 in a row. We're 22-7 coming into it, then lost at Wyoming, lost at home against UNLV as 8-point favorites, and then lost in the tournament as short favorites to San Jose State there. So I think this could be a great bounce back spot. They've obviously kind of rejuvenated to be in the tournament, I think, and should be ready for an Arizona State team that obviously is up and down. So that is the tough part of predicting this. But I'm gonna stick with the dog in this one. Go to Nevada, but again, this Arizona State team could win by 20, lose by 20, or we could see this one come down to a buzzer beater. So I will ultimately, you might see me, if I'm trying to scratch an itch, go to Nevada, but at the end of the day, I would have respected 3.5, 4.5, especially, with the amount of public buying that I'm seeing. Obviously, that's on one, so if anyone's seeing something else, feel free to correct me on that. But at the end of the day, I'm interested in Nevada in this one here tonight. So that about does it. Again, anyone is welcome to hop in the comments, whether you want to talk about tonight's game or if you want to. I'm probably not going to go. Jeff and I did a lot of talk about the bracket on yesterday's show. We'll be doing some shows throughout the days here the next few days. So, however, if anyone wants to jump into the comments and ask me anything about my thoughts and go back and forth about any questions about next couple of days, bracket, whatever it is, feel free, and we can divert to that in the conversation here. But keeping things short and sweet as per usual, going over to the NBA real quick tonight. My Bulls actually one of the games that I obviously I'm a homer, but one of the games that I was thinking seemed a little interesting. I don't typically like to jump into secondary events like that when, bigger events. Obviously, it's the first four, but everyone's focused on March Madness, not so much the NBA. But Bulls plus 1.5 at home against the Kings, 40-27 Kings at my 31-36 Chicago Bulls. A lot of public buy-in to the Kings on the short line there against a Bulls team that obviously has been Jekyll and Hyde all season long. They have won their last two. They are, for the most part, since the All-Star break, they are playing better, but obviously still having those slip-ups every now and then. I think this is matchup number 2 this season. Kings won the first one in Sacramento, 110-101, with a 239.5 total, and now you're seeing 236 on the total. That, like I said, that first one was, what did that finish? 211, so way under that one. So only a small adjustment on the total might be a nice spot to have it go flying over. Kings coming in on a day of rest. Bulls getting a few days of rest out of this one, actually. Kings lost at home against Milwaukee a couple days ago after winning 3 in a row. So I'm interested. I think the Bulls are in a good spot here to hopefully not be rusty at all. If they get down, if the Bulls get down in the first half, you're probably going to see me taking a live line on the Bulls if it's a 10-point game or something like that, and you can get a nice bigger cushion there. But at the end of the day, I think the Bulls are in a good spot to potentially win this one at home, and fighting for their play-in lives at this moment. They are, I think, tied with I think it's Washington for the 10th spot, and then only 1 or 2 games behind the 9 and 8 seeds. So sense of urgency has got to be high for the Bulls, but I've been saying that just about all season long. So take it for whatever it's worth on my my homer biased, trying to be unbiased opinion with the Bulls tonight. Philly and Cleveland. Philly is in Cleveland tonight. Cavs at home plus 2.5. I believe we are still looking at. Actually, Donovan Mitchell is apparently back in the lineup. Still no Jared Allen tonight though, or Ricky Rubio for the Cavs. As far as I know, looks like Embiid, Maxey, Harden, Tucker, everybody, Tobias Harris, everybody in the lineup for the Sixers, is why you're seeing them favored here on the road. Sixers have taken care of business in this matchup over the last couple of years, kind of handily here, unless I'm seeing maybe a couple preseason games mixed in, so maybe that's bad information. But 2 out of the last 3, 3 out of the last 4, it looks like they've won. Cleveland rolling off a handful of wins in a row. Philly on a nice little win streak, though. So I'm going to stay away from this one. That is the ESPN game at the top. 6:30 my time, 7:30 East Coast time. Memphis and Miami at same time there. 4.5 in favor of Miami at home there. Obviously, the Grizzlies, they are winning some games. They've won 3 in a row despite everything that's going on with their organization, losing Brandon Clark. Obviously, everything that's going on with John Morant. Dylan Brooks has been in the headlines talking smack towards Draymond Green. So they are all over the place and have beaten a struggling Mavericks team 2 times in a row, including in that 3-game streak there, along with at home against the Warriors. So it could be a good spot for the Heat to bounce back, or should I say bounce back, but, kind of end that streak for the Grizzlies. The Heat won their last game a couple days ago. They have been going back and forth a little bit, but and they've kind of been going 500 out of the All-Star break. Think they are in a spot where they're probably going to put the pedal down to the floor a little bit here these last couple or 3 weeks of the season here too. Let me double check the standings. I think they're the 7th seed right now. Not really in much risk of dropping past that, but obviously want to get into the 6th seed to avoid the play-in altogether. They're 2.5 back of Brooklyn for the 6 and 3.5 back in New York for the 5. So sense of urgency, and they can get into that top 6 and avoid the play-in. That is probably where their heart is set on. They've got a 2.5 game lead over Atlanta for the 8th spot there. So not much danger of slipping unless they obviously drop a bunch of games. But I kind of like the Heat to at least win this one. It could come down close to the spread. This Grizzlies team has been solid without Ja Morant last year and going into this year. So if you respect that, then maybe this is a good spot for the Grizzlies as well. But I at least like the Heat to win that one. Let's see here. Again, nothing crazy. Again, let's see. We talked about this team last night, and they got the almost 20-point win. The Spurs. That was, I think, the one that Jeff and I were the most confident in yesterday was the Spurs at home against the Magic. They are on second night of a back-to-back now. Another 5-point spread. It did grow a little bit to, I think, 6.5 yesterday, but another 5-point spread. Whenever you go to the well on a game like yesterday and they get the nice win, I don't necessarily like doing it, especially in a back-to-back 2 days in a row. But another 5-point spread, despite how bad the Mavericks have been playing, obviously they don't have their stars in there, so that's obviously a concern. So tough to call this one. Seeing a 5-point spread with the Spurs game kind of lights your eyes up, but obviously the Mavericks have everybody sitting. So after the Spurs win last night, you kind of missed your chance with the Spurs last night is what I would say to you there. It is tough to get into a Spurs game right now unless you have an isolated spot like you did yesterday. Had they lost that one and failed to cover, I might be all in on the Spurs tonight, but not going back to them 2 nights in a row there. Golden State and the Clippers is the other ESPN game later tonight. 9 my time, 10 o'clock East Coast time. Clippers minus 2.5, 3-point favorites at home against the Warriors there. Let's double check any injuries. Iguodala remains out for Golden State. Steph Curry is in the lineup. Draymond Green is in the lineup. The Clippers look like they've got everyone good to go as well. Golden State's got the last 2 games with W's under their belt, both at home. They are back on the road, which they have obviously struggled at all season long. 7-26 straight up, 9-24 on the spread. And you've got a Clippers team who's not been fantastic at home, actually, kind of surprisingly. Only 18-15 at home. And I think that would put them 500 on the road. So need to start rattling off some wins at home to really climb the ladder in the West. But both these two teams, 36-33, tied for the 5th and 6th spots in the West. Very close to not only jumping up 1 spot to the 4th seed, 1 game behind the Suns, but only 3 games ahead of the 11th and 12th seeded teams. So the wild, wild West, not so wild as far as fantastic teams, but wild as far as 12, 13 teams that could jockey for position and are certainly not dead yet. Only Spurs and Rockets are the only 2 teams that are officially dead right now. Blazers, the next closest team, 31-38, but only 3 games out of the play-in game there. So the West is still hot and heavy with teams that can get into that play-in or top 6 or fall, or mix around all of that good stuff. Interested to see only a 3-point spread for the Warriors here tonight, especially with their issues that they've had on the road. Just double checking what any injuries that I might be mistaken on. You've got Steph Curry back in the lineup now for I think 5 games in a row. And as enticing as that is, they still lost their first 3 games on the road with him, and have now won their last 2 against Milwaukee and Phoenix at home. So still, despite the return of Steph Curry, still sticking true to the home and road splits there. So kind of surprising to see this one down at 3 with that swing, but maybe that the Warriors are kind of commanding a lot of public attention with Steph back in the lineup. It is kind of tough to call. I would lean towards the Warriors finally starting to turn their road issues around, but it's the ESPN game. This one could go a number of different ways. Like I said, the Clippers haven't been fantastic at home. They've been taking care of business. They're above 500, but I would have respected a little bit higher number for the Clippers, especially at home against a team that has been absolutely abysmal on the road there. So I do believe that is about it for NBA and college basketball. If we've got any late questions, I will stop and chat. But I told you I was going to keep things short and sweet for the most part here with the solo show going around. I got a update from Odell Beckham. Can't lie, it feels good to be where I'm at, but even better to know I got 5 months to get where I want to be. Not easy, and going through these is just taxing it in every way. Couldn't let myself give up or go out like that. I still got some to do. So So not really any news there for Odell on his way back. NHL TJ, as I've said, I am not the guy for NHL. There are 4 games tonight, but I unfortunately cannot help you out there at all. I do not break down anything out of the NHL. I enjoy playoff hockey, but if I can't hardly tell you the rules of the sport, I certainly am not going to try and give any quote-unquote expert opinion, which certainly is not my title for the NHL. So, yeah, unfortunately, I can't help you out there. There are 2 TNT games that look like they should be pretty entertaining. 4 games that look like they should be pretty entertaining on the entire slate. So, without any questions, I will without any other questions, excuse me, I will scoot on out of here. Like I said, only a handful of games tonight, and Jeff and I talked a lot about the bracket yesterday, so I will leave everyone with that and get everyone on their way. If you're wagering tonight, wager responsibly. Obviously, you got the smorgasbord coming up the next couple of days, next 4 days with March Madness, which I cannot wait for. So best of luck to anyone that's participating, not only tonight, obviously, but all weekend long if we don't see you. It is a marathon. Take yourself to, you don't have to do all 16 games on each day. That's not going to be a recipe for success. Pick and choose your most confident spots throughout each day. If you think you need to jump in today or obviously already, that's not a problem. If you think you're gonna lose out on a line that might change a little bit, go ahead. But at the end of the day, stay true to yourself. Stay true to what you've been doing. If you've been gambling on college basketball all season long, stay true to what you've been doing with your confidence levels and whatnot. And if you're just jumping into it, do some research, listen to some smart people like Jeff Dawson. And I like to think myself, at least with the Big Ten in college basketball. But at the end of the day, it is a marathon, and it is a fun marathon. So I will be here ready to rock and roll tomorrow. But without any further ado, thank you for stopping by. Once again, good luck tonight and all weekend long. And I will most likely see you tomorrow. Not entirely sure what the schedule the rest of the weekend holds, but I will most likely see you personally tomorrow. Thank you.